Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Gran Turismo 7. It's that time of the week once again where the new online time trial becomes available. And we actually have two entering the game this week. However, in this video I'm just going to focus on the main standard one, which is a lap time challenge at Grand Valley Highway 1 featuring the Honda S2000 from 1999. As you can also see, we have the World Finals time trial, which is now available as well at the Nürburgring 24-hour, featuring the Gran Turismo Red Bull X 2019 competition. Now, I'll probably cover that one either tomorrow morning or at a little bit of a later date. So today, we're going to focus, of course, on the main standard lap time trial, which has arrived today. Now, in terms of the event itself, it's the typical layout. Top 3% take away 2 million credits, top 5 a million, and top 10 250k. Of course, it takes place at Grand Valley Highway 1, which is the full layout at Grand Valley. The entry period is the 28th of the 11th, 2024 until the 12th of the 12th, 2024. Now, here is the downside of the whole event. The usable tyre and types are comfort softs, and if you don't know, in Gran Turismo 7, a lot of a car's performance come through the tyre compound itself. So unfortunately, not the best way to drive this car. In terms of the wide body, that is prohibited, same with nitrous and overtake. Regulations for the specified car, of course, is the Honda S2000 from 1999. BOP and tuning prohibited is mid-speed. Car used can be a garage car or event specified car. Car settings are specified. Track limits are normal. Shortcut penalty will invalidate your lap time, and the same with wall collision penalty. So let's begin with some general tips for this online time trial, and as always, I fully recommend turning those assists off. There are only a handful of cars in Gran Turismo 7 which seemingly perform better with assists, and the Honda S2000 is not one of them. I fully recommend the likes of traction control as well as stability to be fully turned off. The only thing you need to kind of leave on is the ABS at default. Now, the next setting tip I'm going to give you is you must run a manual transmission. Unfortunately, the automatic transmission in Gran Turismo 7 is pretty terrible. There is no other way of saying it, and especially with a car and track selection such as this, it's vital to be maintaining your gears, short shifting, and just having that full control over what the gearbox is doing, as well as the car as a whole. I know there are some people out there that will absolutely hands down defend an automatic transmission, but you are just never going to move up that leaderboard as fast as a manual transmission user. And again, it just gives you that extra control over the car. And when it comes to an online time trial like this, where you've got a car that performs as good as the S2000, which isn't incredibly overpowered, this is one of the best times to go ahead and get that muscle memory with a manual transmission in GT7. So if you haven't already, just go ahead and give it a try. Once you've got your head around it, it will take a couple of hours at most before you've really got it nailed down. The next thing I recommend is loading up one of the replays. This way you can see what the fastest drivers are doing and of course learn from each of the replays. Again, check back on a regular basis just in case things are changing. And of course the next thing I'm going to recommend is loading up a ghost if you're struggling to find the braking zones and the lines to take. Again, I recommend something as close as possible to your fastest time. This way the ghost won't just disappear off into the distance. Next up, let's discuss the car that we're going to be using this week. Of course, it is the Honda S2000 from 1999. The car itself is a naturally aspirated 2-litre VTEC making 242 brake horsepower. Of course, not a world beater by any standards, but plenty of power to be made. Now, in terms of the car itself, of course, it's a high revving engine. VTEC is a thing, and of course, like most of the Hondas of this time, once that kicks in, it will continue to rev to some ridiculous RPMs. So just like all Hondas of that time period, the S2000 is no different. It is absolutely at its happiest once it is revving like no tomorrow, and of course VTEC has kicked in. Now, in terms of the car itself, it is insanely balanced. It's an incredibly easy car to get to grips with. It feels beautiful through the corners. Again, the only real downside is those comfort softs, since they are trash tyres on any car throughout the game. However, just know if you are in the lower gears, this is when the car tends to get a little rear end happy. Now this can be countered with a short shift to kind of bring it back in line. So just be aware that if you're running in the likes of gear 2 and you're trying to give it full revs out the corner, there is a chance the rear end may kick out. But overall, it is a fairly easy to drive car for pretty much all skill levels. I don't think there'll be a player out there that can't get to grips with the S2000 within a few laps or so. Once you get used to its driving style, it really isn't bad at all. And the final point actually was a real world complaint about VTEC Hondas at the time, is that the VTEC can kick in at awkward times and just set the car that little bit off balance. Of course, once you hit a certain rev threshold, the crossover happens to VTEC, it then revs extremely high, extremely quickly, and unfortunately this can happen at really awkward times, and it is something that you will see in GT7. Now if it does happen, the way to counter this is just short shift the car. Of course it will then take the car out of VTEC, you'll then build the revs up once again until you hit the threshold, and then VTEC crossover will kick in, it will rev even higher, absolutely scream at you, rinse and repeat. So if you do find that the VTEC is just kicking in at a little bit of an awkward time, short shift the car, it will take it out of VTEC and you should regain that balance. So now it's time to take you through my initial fastest lap. Of course this will improve over the next few weeks. Now the first awkward section is of course turn 1. You're looking for the 300 board in which you want to brake hard and heavy in a straight line, bring it onto the inside of the corner, get it into second gear, and of course just let go of the brake, let go of the revs and let the car balance itself out. Once you're heading in the right direction, rev it up once again, short shift to third on exit, and you should be all good for turn 1. Now the next section really isn't too awkward, it's all about maintaining your gears, so just go up through them. You should be heading towards 5th gear for this section here, brake, let go of the revs, and let the car basically roll through the corner. Now you want to put the revs back in, you may feel the rear end break away, and you're looking for the 300 board once again. Brake hard and heavy, head over to the left hand side and then bring the car in going down the gears. Now I did slightly overshoot it, but it really wasn't too drastic. You may notice I just dropped the car into first just to get that little bit of a shift, and then of course back to second, back through the gears once again, head over to the right and get ready for this left hander. Now I entered it in 4th, let the car roll a little bit, tapping the brakes every now and again, into 3rd, do a few little cuts, try not to cut too much or it will invalidate your lap time, and here comes another awkward section. Now realistically you want to brake and maintain the car in 3rd gear. If you get into 2nd there, it really upsets the balance. At least in 3rd you can keep the car going. Unfortunately though, I did lose a little bit of time, so as you can see we've gone into 2nd gear at that point, once again taking it out nice and wide, of course not too wide to invalidate the lap time, and then once again back up the gears. Now you've got a left hander coming up, you're looking for the 100 board on the turn in, so we're going to brake, turn the car in and then go down into 2nd gear. Once again maintaining 2nd, short shift up to 3rd, maintain 3rd gear for the right hander and get ready for the exit onto the bridge. Now once you're on the bridge, you've done the majority of the awkward sections, however there is still one more that I'm going to point out. Now in terms of the braking zone off of the bridge into the tunnel, you're looking anywhere between about 200 to 100. Brake nice and hard, bring the car in 2nd gear, and this is where it's going to get awkward. The final make or break section. It's going to be the left right here. So I keep the car in 2nd gear, cut as much as possible without hitting the bollards. Once again that will invalidate your lap time. Same again on the right hander. The car may get a little bit upset on the balance, bringing it out nice and wide, not to kind of go over too much. Once again invalidation there. Of course shift up to 3rd and then absolutely flat out through the gears. Now you want to angle it correctly, so you head over to the left here in 4th, bring it over to the right, absolutely flat out, and then shift up to 5th on exit, as then you're going to go up and across the line to complete your lap. Of course there is still time to be found. This is very early in the time trials lifestyle court. I'm sure over the next couple of weeks of course it will improve. As you can see at the time of recording, this was fast enough for 17th in the world with a time of 2 minutes 14.947. Of course, plenty of seconds left to chop off, so I'm pretty sure I'll get those over the next couple of weeks that this online time trial is up. And there we go, that is it for this episode of the online time trial. Of course, I may check out the Red Bull X 2019 at the Nürburgring at some point. However, I'm just not the most confident in that car. I find that, my kind of persistent thing of not using assist kind of hampers me there. Again, it is one of those cars that does seem to react better with one of the assists on, which of course, if I make the guide, I will mention. However, I want to give a big thank you to all of my channel members on screen now, and a big thank you to you guys watching at home. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Take care, guys. Peace.